Florida, North Florida, Florida 104, North Florida 64. Absolute dog walking. To be expected, Florida coming off a loss to Arizona, where everybody kind of like felt like they looked good still. And I think it was more so just the coming out party for Arizona than it was like an indictment on Florida. And they proved that again in this game. Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan struggled just a tad yet again. Boogie Flan was better, 10 points on 4 of 7. Xavier Lee, 10 points on 4 of 11. I'm monitoring. My dog, Oliver Root, he's my favorite player in the history of basketball, just 7'8", never plays, but he got in the game for 2 minutes. That's why I love non-con, because Oliver gets to play. But Alex Condon was the star of the show here. 25 and 10, 8 of 12 shooting, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 2 steals. Filled up the stat sheet. Jamie, what were your takeaways from the game?
Yeah, dude, size matters. The women are right, size matters because Big Micah came off the bench from Lake Norman. Shout out Micah, because I'm from Charlotte. Lake Norman's right here. Our neighbor came off the bench 17 and 13 and 18 minutes, 7-footer. Played at Marshall to start his career. Micah came in, or Micah hooped, and then the big fella Cooper, or not Cooper, they what is his name? I'm drawing a blank on the dude's name, but they just size matters. Micah had 17 and 13 and 18 minutes for them. Alex Condon, like you said, 25, 10 and 4 assists. And then Halk has just been he's been so good for them in the first 2 games, 12 and 8 with 4 assists. The big fellas for them, they can pass, man. 8 assists combined with Condon and Hawk and Boogie Flan, which we'll get into because our preview for this game, we really focused on Boogie Flan, Xavier Lee. I thought Flan played okay. 10 points. He shot more efficient this time, 4 of 7 and 3 assists. And the one thing about Boogie Flan that I'll definitely give him credit for is on the season in 2 games, he has 6 assists to 0 turnovers. And so that's winning basketball when he has trouble scoring. To know that he's not turning the ball over is big for Florida.
Yeah, I think Xavier Lee's gonna have to play like a slightly different role than he's used to. I think the team, I won't say they're better. Um, I won't say they're better when he's like not on the ball. But Boogie Flan has to have the ball in his hands some, right? Like that's kind of was my biggest takeaway from this game. And they need to play off of each other. I think this is a like 2 point guard lineup more so than like a lineup where it's Xavier Lee at point and Boogie Flan's playing off ball. Now that's where he thrived at Princeton, and I know that, and I'm not trying to take away from Xavier Lee, but I think the best version of Florida is them playing off together, Condon getting involved. The front court is easily the best front court in the country. I don't think that's like really close. Um, Really, really, really good team. Phenomenal performance. Todd Golden, man, like, how did nobody want like else want him besides Florida when he was at San Francisco, right? Like, how did nobody else like? I'm not trying to disrespect North Carolina. People always say I come from North Carolina. I do from time to time. How did North Carolina not just be like, hey, man, we'll get rid of Hubert?
You're spicing things up early, but yeah, I mean, he can coach. And the guy I was trying to talk about earlier, I could not find was Big Oliver, 7'7". When I said size matters, tallest player now officially to play in a college basketball game. So literally, Florida just went bigger, and biggest on the get against North Florida. And the rebound margin, I mean, they out rebounded them 64 to 24. I mean, my God. And they just this is exactly what we talked about in the for the preview. They're just going to lay it on to North Florida. I think I said it was going to be like 100 and something to 50 something. I was close, 104 to 64. And Florida did it by shooting 19% from three. I mean, that is the one, I guess, negative takeaway. If you want to take something away from this in a negative perspective, is they shot 6 of 32 from three. But I mean, I would say it's a positive. You still score 104 points making six threes. It's just, they'll be fine. Like you said, Todd Golden's a hell of a coach coming off a national championship, and he'll have his guys ready to play for the next game. And yeah, I like this team. And the one thing they did really well in this game, which was to be expected considering what they did against Arizona, was they had 25 points scored on spot up shots, where they only had five against Arizona. And then they had 25 points in transition compared to 15 last game. And they just offense rebounds, they had 28 points off of putbacks. So they just showed size does matter against North Florida, and it was a rout like we expected.
Yeah, listen. better team won. The better team won. Florida.
Better team covered. Yeah, I think they covered. I don't even know what the spread was, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they covered.
Let me double check. I can tell you in 1 second. Yeah, they did not. They did cover. They did cover. They did cover.
What was the line?
37 and a half.
Oh yeah, never a doubt. They
That is
shot
crazy.
18% from three and they covered a 40-point
Man,
spread. That is freaking crazy.
that is crazy. I'm looking at it right now too. Like, I just because whenever it's like close like that, I always double check. Like, was like a stupid three made? No, like it wasn't. Like they were actually up by more than they like way well over the spread. It wasn't like a dumb three that went in to like get them to cover. Like just an absolute dominant performance. I don't want to take anything away from North Florida. To be honest with you, like I think they're gonna be that like they showed that they can score a little bit. I think in the ASUN they're gonna be a problem. Don't get me wrong, but they go from at Florida to at Tennessee. Respectfully, I hope the checks were good. I really, really do. Like I hope whatever amount of money Florida and Tennessee paid you for those games was good. Because they just don't stand a chance. And it's not their fault. It really isn't.
You got to keep the athletic. You got to keep that bread coming in the athletic department. So you got to sign up for these blowout games to get paid and basically keep the lights on at the school. And so that's what North Florida is doing, and that's what all these small schools are doing, even the smaller ones in North Florida. And yeah, you have to take these lumps when you need to get paid. It's a sacrifice you're willing to make to keep the lights on in the gym.
There was one dude on North Florida I wanted to keep an eye on for everyone that he kind of blew me away. Not gonna lie, I thought he was really good. I don't know how to say his name, but I believe it's Cameron Oriole. He had 19 points. I believe it was on 8 of 17, 3 of 8 from three. Um, if he shoots 37, 38% from three with how easily he got to the basket, and granted, like I said, it was 8 to 17, but he's going against the Florida Bigs. Like that's why I was like, okay, I really like this dude's game. Because I think when he gets into like conference play, honestly, like I'm not trying to take anything away from Tennessee. I think Tennessee's better than Florida, but maybe even against the Tennessee, like I think he could even have more success than he did against Florida. This is a dude, he's listed as a senior, but if you go look at his profile, he's only played 2 years of D1 basketball. Like, I think he's a guy that could, like, do the waiver thing, get extra eligibility based upon, like, junior college, whatever they're counting the other 2 years as. Transfer portal guy. Transfer portal guy. I'm not saying he's gonna transfer to Florida the way Xavier Lee did, but like I could see him at like a Vanderbilt at starting point guard next year. Like a low end ACC team, even like a Florida State or a Miami. I know Jay Lucas is doing some things down there. Blue Devils are a little mad at me right now. I apologize for the Caleb Foster stuff, but but like I could see him at like a Washington State, even like one of those lower end high major schools with West Virginia, my alma mater, could use him. Just a name to watch out for in the transfer portal. I thought he was really good in this game. He held his own against a Florida team that is really good. One last question for you before we wrap things up, J man. Um, how good is Florida to you? Where do they rank in the SEC?
Ooh, and the SEC, I don't know because the SEC is deep. I mean, Florida's really good. It's just there's a thin line of margin from like being the second to eighth best team in the SEC, in my opinion. And I'm saying eighth. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but like second to sixth. You know what I mean? Like I thought Kentucky was really good last year. Obviously, they got banged up, so they slid and didn't finish great in the SEC play. Obviously, they beat Duke in the non-con. This Florida team has a chance to be top three again in the SEC. Condon, Hauk, they're doing their thing. Great bounce back game from Condon. Hauk is looking like he's turned the corner the first two games, and then their bench is really solid. Like I said, Micah coming off the bench and giving him 17 and 13 and 18 minutes. And even Isaiah Brown he only played 11 minutes against North Florida, but he had 9 and 9. I mean, in 11 minutes as a guard, 6'4" guard. Are you kidding me? So they have an identity of toughness and rebounding, and obviously Arizona beat them, but that doesn't show anything. At the end of the day, it's game one of the season. So to answer your question as a long-winded answer, I think they have the potential to be top three. They need their front or their backcourt to not be a question mark night in, night out. Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee have to show consistency with shot making ability. I mean, Xavier Lee was 4-11 in this game. I think he was 5-17 or something like that against Arizona. So that's got to be efficient because if they're inefficient and they're going to SEC play, that's where things can get tricky for this Florida team.
Okay, let's play a little game. I'm gonna start naming off their next opponents. I want you to let me know when they lose. There's one specific game I can't wait to get to, and I know you know which one I'm talking about, but they're home against Florida State on, I believe that's Veterans Day Tuesday.
It's a win.
Home against Miami 5 days later.
That's a win, but I think Miami is going to be give them a little, a little game like Texas did in the first half against Duke. I think that'll be a tough,
I think
pretty
that's
big.
fair. Merrimack, that's a win. TCU, that's a win. I'm not even gonna ask you those two. These are the two interesting ones to me. At Duke.
I think that's a loss. And obviously,
Okay.
yes, I'm a Duke guy, but like to expand on my point, Duke's just so good defensively. They're unbelievably defensively. And if this was the Florida team last year with Walter Clayton that could hit tough shots, it's probably a loss, or it's probably a loss for Duke at Duke. But I like Duke's chances to really dominate to handle the backcourt of Florida.
I completely agree. By the way, I think Duke wins that game, but I do want to point out, in my opinion, there's two ways you can get to Duke. It's obviously if you can score on them. I think
Yeah.
like a Purdue's going to be able to score on them, and I think that's gonna throw them off, and we'll see. Like we'll see what happens with that.
I will say, outside of Cam Boozer, the one thing that Florida has against Duke is the size. And if they get Gongba and Malik Brown in foul trouble, which they fouled out against Texas, then this could be a win for Florida. So, yes, initially I say a win for Duke, but Duke has to show me that Gongba can stay out of foul trouble and Malik Brown can get healthier.
So that was going to be my second point, and this is me holding myself accountable. I've spoken all year about how like I don't buy this Florida team by any means, because I didn't buy Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan. Through two games, I want to walk that back. I still don't buy those two. This front court's the biggest mismatch nightmare in college basketball. And for as much as I think Duke gets to Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee with a Caleb Foster, Isaiah Evans, Nick Kamini, Adame Sarr, the list goes on and on. I love Cam Boozer. I'm not sure they got anything for the front court. You know what I
No.
mean? And I don't know that anybody in the country does. And if this front court can stay out of foul trouble and can stay on the court, I was wrong. Like I still don't think this is a top five team in the country. I still don't put them in my final four just because talent wise, I think Duke is more talented. Talent wise, I do think Purdue, Houston, UConn, Kentucky, Tennessee, even Arkansas, I do think they're all more talented. But when that ball tips, they have the biggest mismatch in the country with their front court. The only thing close would be Braden Smith versus whoever your point guard is. Those are the
Sure.
two biggest mismatch nightmares in the country, and we've watched it play out twice now. Because for as good as I thought Arizona was, to win a game where your star transfer goes or to lose a game by six and your star transfer went 4 of 17, man, like everybody else has to be really good. Boogie Flam was 3 of 9. Like everybody else has to be really good. I love this Florida team. I was wrong. I'm sorry, Florida fans. Please don't hate me. Let me back on the train. With that in mind, I do think Duke wins that game, but maybe J Man and I will be back for that preview. But nonetheless, previews and recaps up on the channel throughout the year.